I quietly paid my sister's bills for years while she bragged about her success. When I finally stopped, she said I was the one begging her for money, and my family believed her. But the bank records said otherwise. As I stand at the entrance of my parents' magnificent suburban house, the weight of the handmade pumpkin pie helps to steady my hands. Through the leaded glass panels flanking the front entrance, I see the movement, 20 relatives interacting under the light of my mother's beloved crystal chandelier. For a brief time, I consider turning around and going back to my apartment to spend Thanksgiving with a frozen supper and mindless TV. But suddenly, my father sees me through the glass. There she is. His voice reverberates as he swings open the door. The number cruncher has come. I force a grin and go in the smells of sage and roasted turkey surrounding me. My modest knee-length dress in deep teal suddenly feels inadequate among the exuberant glitter of my mother's home. "Oh, you've brought dessert," Mom says, taking the pie with a little peck on my cheek. Her gaze flashes past me toward the driveway. "Is that everything you brought?" "Just me and the pie," I respond, attempting to keep my voice light, created from scratch. Dad pats my shoulder. "Emily works with numbers of very steady employment. Always punctual." The compliment hits like a backhand slap. Always punctual, consistently dependable. It's always dull. I've heard variants of this throughout my life. The phone rings and Mom's expression brightens. "That is your sister. She is running a bit late. 25 minutes and counting." I grumble, but no one notices as I trudge toward the living room where family are gathering for drinks and canapes. Uncle Mark raises a drink. The accountant arrived. "Emily, how are you balancing your books?" "I'm an internal auditor," I correct, taking a glass of champagne from the passing tray, and business exists. The abrupt silence settles over the room like a thick veil. Conversations cease in the middle of a phrase. Heads turn toward the entrance. My sister has come. Jessica enters 25 minutes late, looking like she walked off a magazine cover. Her camel Max Mara coat, which I recognized from last month's Vogue, falls nicely over her shoulders. The Prada purse swinging from her wrist is probably more expensive than my monthly rent. "Sorry I'm late," she says, not sounding sorry at all. "The traffic was extremely terrible." Mom rushes forward, smiling with a joy she seldom displays when presenting me. "You look gorgeous, dear." She touches the sleeve of Jessica's coat. "Is this new Jessica shows off? I picked it up last weekend." The hue appealed to me. "You work so hard," Mom exclaims. "You deserve to reward yourself." I drink hard and empty my champagne glass in one gulp. The irony burns hotter than the bubbles. Jessica hasn't had stable work in 4 years, moving between consulting assignments that never stay but always have impressive-sounding titles. Dinner is called before I can go for a refill. I am sat between Cousin Sophia and Uncle Mark's new girlfriend, whose name I have already forgotten. Across from me, Jessica holds court, regaling the group with tales of her latest initiative, which involves social media and premium labels. Sophia turns to me during a pause, her voice quiet. "I had been meaning to question you about my school debts. The interest is killing me, and I was wondering if you had any advice about restructuring." I lean in sincerely, happy to be helping. "Actually, I recently read of an application that could be useful. If your income falls below a specific threshold, not everyone wants to talk about math over dinner, sweetheart." Mom interrupts from 3 seats away, her hearing suddenly selective and acute. She grins at Sophia. "Why not ask Jessica? She's good with money." The table becomes silent. I look at my plate fork hanging above uncooked turkey. Jessica's laughter tinkles like ice in a crystal glass. Oh, Emily is constantly crunching figures. She continues swirling her wine, and it appears that cash is constantly in short supply. My cheeks are burning. I handle my money well. "Do you?" Jessica arches one gorgeous brow. "So why are you continuously begging for loans?" The dining room temperature drops 10 degrees. 20 sets of eyes move between us like spectators at a tennis match. "I've never asked you for money." I continue, my voice calm amidst the screaming in my ears. "Not once. Not once, please." Jessica rolls her eyes dramatically. "You should not ask for money. It is humiliating." The words strike me like a physical blow. My ears ring with the boldness of her deception, a total reversal of our reality. No one speaks. Nobody protects me. Not even our parents, who know exactly where the money is going. Talk about humiliating. Dad interrupts with forced humor. "Did anyone see the Seahawks game last Sunday? The fourth quarter was something else." Just like that, the conversation moves on, leaving my shame behind like roadkill. No one wants to see. I sit transfixed, taken back to when I was 10 years old, emptying my piggy bank to assist Jessica purchase a dancing outfit. "Your sister needs it more than you." Mom had stated this while caressing my head. "She has a recital coming soon. You are the realistic one, Emily, the practical one, the accountable one, the one expected to make a sacrifice. When dessert is served, I excuse myself and sneak into the powder room. My hands quiver as I shut the door behind me, but my mind is as clear as it has ever been. I take out my phone and open my banking app, glancing at the 5 regular payments, various accounts in Jessica's name. 4 years, $58,000, $200, a monthly average of $900. Auto insurance, credit card minimums, personal loan repayments. The proof of my sister's financial vampirism appears on my screen in tidy, orderly rows, just as an auditor would. Without hesitation, I choose each payment and cancel it. Confirmation messages display one at a time. Recurring payment was discontinued. I pour cold water on my face, then wipe it with one of Mom's ornate guest towels before returning to the dining room. My pumpkin pie is in the center of the table, with chunks missing from the flawless crust. "There you are," Mom says. "We started without you. That is okay." I settle back into my seat, a peculiar serenity flowing over me. I'm not really hungry for dessert anyway. My cell phone vibrates in my pocket. My bank sends me confirmation letters. The cancellations are complete. More coffee, Emily. Dad offers the pot in his hand. I grin and hold out my cup. Yes, I believe I will have a second helping. Tonight will be the first time in 4 years that I will not be paying for my sister's life. For the first time in forever, I am selecting myself, and it feels like the first breath after nearly drowning. Numbers do not lie. My family does. The next morning, the morning light streams through the blinds of my modest one-bedroom apartment, and I open my laptop at the little desk cramped between the kitchen and living room. The coffee maker gurgles in the background, its familiar cadence keeping my hands steady while I work on a new spreadsheet. Payment history. Jess Cole. I write in the heading, my fingers working with the accuracy that makes me useful at work. Each keystroke feels like recovering a part of me. I open out my financial records and meticulously replicate every payment made to my sister over the last 4 years. The spreadsheet rises row by row like an archaeological dig into my financial sacrifices. Each month, you make 3 separate credit card payments. The personal loan that was meant to be temporary until her commission arrived, and auto insurance for the luxury SUV she desperately required for client appointments but never materialized. The sum is at the bottom of the column, $58,200. The number lies there accusing me of gullibility rather than kindness. Every month, about $950 more than my own vehicle payment are secretly fed to Jessica's meticulously created facade. I store the document in 3 different cloud locations. After gathering the evidence, I take another drink of coffee. My phone vibrated again. The panel displays Jessica's name for the 16th time since morning. I quiet it without reading the message. Yet the notifications continue to show. Something is incorrect with the payments. Call me right now. Have you changed banks? Payment failed. What have you done? The credit card company phoned. Fix it. Autopay was turned down. Call me back. Are there insufficient funds? What's happening? The texts go from perplexity to fear to wrath, the punctuation increasing with her urgency. 15 calls, more than 30 texts in barely 24 hours. I put my phone screen down and resume working. By mid-afternoon, the inevitable occurs. My mother's name appeared on screen. I answer on the 3rd ring. Emily, what's happening? Jessica claims, you are refusing to help her with something. Her voice contains the typical sense of disappointment. It's like if I'm 10 years old again, hoarding my birthday money instead of sharing. I have been paying her bills for 4 years, Mom. When I speak to my mother, my voice sounds different, more steady than it ever has. She informed everyone at Thanksgiving yesterday that I had asked her for money, so I stopped. A sudden intake of breath. That's not what she intended. You know how Jessica reacts when she is nervous. She exaggerates. It was not an exaggeration. That was a lie. Everyone believed her. You're being theatrical. Family helps family. I assisted for 4 years. That's $58,200 of my money. A long silence followed by rustling as the phone changed hands. Emily, this is Dad. His voice suddenly sounds older. What is this about money? Your sister claims you cut her off without notice. Did she explain why she needs my money each month? She has been experiencing cash flow issues with her firm. You are aware of this. Dad, she doesn't own a business. She has not had consistent job in 3 years. Another prolonged stillness. You have changed. He eventually admits, you used to be kind. The words cut deeper than intended, yet clarity emerges to counteract the agony. I respond, I have not changed. I basically stopped allowing others to utilize my compassion as a safety net. The stunned quiet that ensues tells me they have never analyzed our family dynamic from this perspective. The call ends uncomfortably with promises to speak about it later, which we all know means, I hope you come to your senses. I'd hardly put down my phone when it rang again. Lauren. I'm just checking in. You left Thanksgiving so soon. Her voice drifts off looking for information. It was a rough evening. I make my proposition cautiously. Jessica has been contacting everyone about her money issues. Something about you pulling out of a loan. A bitter chuckle emerges before I can stop it. I did not back out of a loan. After 4 years of paying her debts, I stopped sending her monthly payments. Wait, have you been paying her bills? But she owns a large house in Bellevue. Lauren's surprised tone reinforces my suspicions. Nobody knew. Jessica had spent years projecting a successful image while quietly emptying my funds. How much are we talking about? Lauren asks. $58,200. Emily. Holy crap. She pauses. No wonder you constantly decline family trips. A lump develops in my throat. All those years of making excuses about job responsibilities, saving for a house, and the need to be present in case of an emergency, when the truth was simpler and more painful. I couldn't afford Jessica's lifestyle while also maintaining my own. Lauren hangs off, vowing secrecy she knows she won't keep, and my phone beeps with a text from cousin Michael. It's about time someone stood up to the golden child. The truth is now spreading around the family, reshaping 4 years of events where Jessica arrived in luxury attire while I wore the same black dress with various accessories. She brought costly wines whilst I made from scratch because it was cheaper, where she discussed luxury resorts and I gently proposed stations. I closed the spreadsheet and shut down my laptop. The documentation is completed. The payments are terminated. The truth is out in the wild. For the first time in 4 years, the entire $950 of my monthly Jessica payment will remain in my personal account. The thought does not provide the satisfaction I imagined, but rather an empty sense of relief. It's like removing a splinter that has been in your body for so long that you've adapted your actions to prevent discomfort. I check my phone, where the notification count has risen to 48. Tomorrow will bring more calls, guilt, and pressure. But tonight, the figures are plain, and unlike sisters, statistics do not lie. The following morning, I gaze at the screen still warm under my cover and immediately regret looking. Please pray for Emily at this tough time. Jessica's note reads, mental health issues can manifest in a variety of ways, including financial jealousy and irrational behavior. I look at the ceiling, counting the soft popcorn ridges to keep from flinging my phone across the space. Within seconds, replies poured in. Oh no, what happened? Sending you love, Emily. We are here for you. Should we prepare a care package? Nobody is asking what triggered this announcement. Nobody disputes its veracity. My sister's word is gospel, and I am suddenly positioned as the unstable family member who is having a breakdown. My mother calls within minutes. Emily Marie Thompson. Her voice has that special tone reserved for serious disappointments. You have to address this before Thanksgiving is entirely ruined. What precisely do I need to fix? I inquire, putting my feet into slippers and going into my kitchen to begin coffee. Don't act stupid. Jessica is devastated. Your father can hardly look at his phone when she texts about you. She pauses. We raised you better than that. The coffee maker gurgles as I measure the grinds with practiced accuracy. Did you ask Jessica precisely what I had done? She showed me the bank's alerts. All of those payments were immediately discontinued. Mother's voice lowers to an accusing whisper. Emily has bills, responsibilities, roots. So do I. The words are stronger than I anticipated. This is not like you, she adds. The daughter I nurtured would never forsake her sister. I watch the coffee flow gradually into the pot, black and clear. Jessica's bills have been paid for 4 years by the daughter you raised, despite the fact that she claims I asked her for money. Silence spreads between us like a wire. I'm going to be late for work, I announce in an extraordinary act of defiance. Give Dad my love. I stop the conversation before she can react and open Facebook to see Jessica's most recent performance. A nicely filtered photo of her looking pensively out a window with the message, heartbroken when family members battle with envy. I'm praying for healing at this terrible time. There have already been 27 supportive comments. I dismiss the app without answering and finish preparing for work. When I get at the office, something unexpected occurs. I'm working better than I have in months. Client documents move through my review process with extraordinary speed. Spreadsheets that often require double-checking become perfectly obvious on the first pass. You appear to be more concentrated. Recently, my manager makes a statement during our afternoon check-in. Maintain your current course of action. I'm saving an additional $950 every month in my bank account and sleeping through the night for the first time in years. That evening, I bought a new desk for my home office, a substantial wood piece that I'd wanted for months but couldn't afford while supporting Jessica's lifestyle. As I input my credit card information, I don't feel the normal concern about spending on myself. I made no mental calculations regarding how this purchase would influence my capacity to cover Jessica's auto insurance or minimum credit card payments. I understand I've been living below my means not through austerity or prudent financial planning, but to subsidize my sister's extravagance. The realization sits in my gut like a stone. The actual test of my newfound determination comes 3 days later when Jessica emerges unexpectedly in my office building lobby. As I return from lunch, I notice her through the glass doors with luxury sunglasses perched over immaculate makeup, intentionally unkempt hair, and what looks to be a carefully chosen dress that signals both affluent casualness and sorrow. "How could you leave me like this?" she demands loudly as I approach, tears flowing down her cheeks, but without upsetting her mascara. "After everything I've done for you," heads turn in the lobby. My coworkers decrease their pace, trying not to listen, yet plainly taking in every word. I keep my voice measured and quiet. "This is not the place to talk about your money troubles, Jessica. Financial problems." She chuckles, her voice loud and harsh. "You're the one who's always required my assistance, and now when I just need you momentarily, you cut me off completely." A security guy turns our way, alarmed about the increasing volume. "Call me when you're ready to discuss repayment plans," I reply gently. Repayment. The word lingers between us like a grenade with the pin removed. Her tears go instantaneously. The metamorphosis would be stunning if I hadn't seen it so many times before. The abrupt shift from hurt victim to cold calculation when persuasion fails. "This is not over." She hisses, her voice suddenly calm. She turns abruptly, stiletto heels clicking on marble as she departs through spinning doors. I watch her go strangely calm in the aftermath of what could have been a disastrous argument. Saturday offers unexpected support. Lauren appears at my apartment door with lunch from my favorite deli and a compassionate grin. "You okay?" she asks as she unpacks sandwiches and soup containers on my modest dining table. Everyone's discussing what occurred. Which version are they discussing? I inquire, taking plates from my cupboard. Lauren shook her head. "The full story is coming out. Michael phoned me after chatting with your father. Is it true that Jessica owes you almost $50,000? I confirmed the amount of $58,200. But from what I can figure, her overall debt is closer to $14,000. Lauren stops eating her lunch in the middle. "How much is $14,000? How is this possible?" "They reside in that lovely Bellevue home. Mortgage to the limit," I respond. "Plus 3 maxed-out credit cards, 2 personal loans, and a 3-month late automobile lease. I've been paying the minimum for years. She was using you the entire time." Lauren's voice becomes agitated despite the fact that she appears to be successful. My phone vibrates with a notice. It's with, "The younger cousins have started a new group chat called Team Emily, which does not include Jessica or my parents." When my phone calls with an unusual number, I'm still processing what's happened. I nearly decline until Lauren looks at the screen. "That is David's cell," she replies, her eyes widening. "Jessica's spouse." I accept the call and put it on speaker. "Emily." David's voice sounds strained. "We need to discuss." "I'm listening," I say. I had no notion about any of it. He begins. "She hid everything. The payments, the debt, all of it." The genuine honesty in his speech catches me off guard. "Thank you for assisting her discreetly throughout the years." He continues. "I believed we were steady, but we've been spending more than we can afford to keep up appearances with the neighbors." I meet Lauren's surprised look across the table. "We're not as financially secure as everyone thinks," David admits. "Not even close." I get a peculiar sense of weightlessness. For years, I assumed I was the only person who saw Jessica clearly. Others are starting to see beyond the curtain. Finally, I hope you can assist her in developing stronger coping strategies. Lauren squeezes my hand across the table as the call concludes. For the first time in years, I am not alone in my interpretation of Jessica. And for the first time in my life, I am not expected to be the one to solve everything. That night, 3 tremendous strikes rattle the hinges on my apartment door. I know who it is before I look through the peephole. Jessica stands in the glaring hallway, lighting, arms curled about herself. Her hair falls limp around her face with no sign of makeup evident. She's wearing faded jeans and a basic cotton t-shirt, which I've never seen her wear before. I open the door but block it with my body. It's almost midnight. Please, she says quietly, her voice breaking. Emily, I'm coming apart. David knows everything. For a brief moment, I recall the little child who used to climb into my bed during thunderstorms seeking solace from her practical sister, who was unafraid of the noise. But then I recall the Thanksgiving table, her words filled with faux worry. You should quit begging for money. It is humiliating. Nonetheless, I stand away. Come inside. She runs by me, pacing the living room like a trapped beast. Credit card firms keep calling. I've blocked 8 different numbers, but they keep using new ones. And the BMW, her voice catches. They plan to repossess it next week. I offer her water in a basic glass tumbler. She looks at it momentarily, evidently hoping for wine. Mom and Dad are sad. She continues to accept the water but does not drink it. You are pulling the family apart with your vendetta. I sat on my couch watching her performances with renewed clarity. If I lose everything, it's on you. She continues, her voice tightening. Is this what you want? To see me fail? I wait until her speech loses pace, until the theatrical pauses intended to inspire my reassurances become uncomfortable. When she eventually goes silent, I speak. Jessica, I've been helping you for 4 years. She sniffs and nods enthusiastically, and I'm really appreciative. That's why I can't understand why you'd stop now when I need you the most. I let a measured pause pass between us. That's $58,200 divided equally. I have records of every payment. Her expression changes from vulnerable begging to protective rage in an instant. It wasn't really much. You are exaggerating to make me appear awful. Without saying a word, I open my laptop on the coffee table between us. The screen displays a spreadsheet with each row representing a payment and each column representing a category, dates, quantities, and account numbers. Notes chronicling her calls, her excuses, and her vow to pay me back next month. This time, 4 years of financial devastation, painstakingly chronicled in the language I know best. Numbers that do not lie. This is when she struggles with her words. You're doing this to make yourself appear good. You're constantly expected to be flawless. When I do not reply, she changes methods. You know I have expenditures, but you don't. Just the payments for the country club. She pauses, understanding how this sounds. You make so much more than I do. She attempts, her voice rising. You don't know what it's like to struggle. I make $185,000 every year, I admit softly. Her eyes widened slightly. She had definitely expecting far less. I reside in this 1-bedroom flat and can afford to pay your expenses. The silence that follows seems like the first honest moment we've had in years. Her lips expands and shuts, looking for a different viewpoint. But we're sisters. She eventually admits, her voice quiet. Family helps family. I straighten up and approach to the door, opening it once more. You had 4 years, Jessica. I paid $58,200 of your loan. That is enough. She collects her purse, shoulders tight with rage. At the threshold, she turns, her gaze narrowed. You are heartless, she hisses. You're going to regret this number. I maintain a steady stare with her. You should regret mistaking someone's kindness for responsibility. The door between us closes with a quiet click. 2 hours later, my mother phoned. I can detect strain in her voice. The attempt to keep calmness. Jessica claims you refuse to help. She's going through a lot right now. Did she tell you how much I had already helped her, I ask. She cites a few modest debts. Mom hedges. Mom, $58,200 over 4 years is not a tiny amount. Her sudden intake of breath conveys more than words could. Dad's voice abruptly replaces hers. $58,200. That cannot be correct. I can email you the documentation. I say this with my finger lingering above the submit button on an email I drafted some days ago. Why would you keep giving her money if she was or not? To be quite honest, I finished for him. Because she is family, and you showed me that family always looks out for each other. The astonished quiet on the other end evokes both vindication and sadness. Later that night, texts started coming on my phone. Uncle Mark, your sister is heartbroken. Where is your compassion, Aunt Linda? The family forgave. Period. This cold shoulder is below you. But there are others. Cousin James. It's about time someone stood up to her. Call if you need to chat. Lauren. I just heard the true story. We are all supporting you. Mom and Dad too. My phone pings with a notice from our extended family group chat. I prepare for another round of guilt and pressure, but instead receive a surprise message from David. Thank you all for your concerns. Jessica and I are working through some financial challenges that have arisen. We appreciate your understanding at this time. And Emily, thank you for your previous assistance. It was not recognized appropriately. The conventional family order with Jessica at its brilliant center and me orbiting as the dependable practical moon has begun to crumble. Thanksgiving meal has become a dividing point in our family history. Before the truth and after. My father phones back, his voice quiet. I've been reviewing the statements you sent. You've been around all these years. He pauses, unable to finish the notion that his golden kid was lying while his practical one was sacrificing. We should talk, he eventually adds. All of us. Maybe a Sunday dinner. Not yet, I respond, startling myself with the barrier. I need some time. Of course he speaks swiftly, too fast. Whatever you need. The phrases seem weird coming from him, or anybody in my family, really. Previously, everything I needed was not a top priority. I snuggle up on my couch covered in the quilt my grandmother sewed, which Jessica always thought was too old-fashioned for her taste. My place feels different tonight. Not larger or more opulent, but more personal. For the first time in 4 years, the burden of secrecy and duty has been removed. The money that paid for Jessica's perfectly managed existence will now pay my honest one. On my coffee table, the spreadsheet still lights on my laptop screen. 4 years of payments, each one a brick in the wall that separates who I was and who I am becoming. I close the laptop, and the room becomes black save for the mild city light that filters through my blinds. Tomorrow will come more calls, more family members choosing sides, and more pressure to return to my usual position. But now in the calm aftermath of finally telling the truth, I discover something unexpected. Peace. A week later, the language on David's message still glows ominously on my phone screen. Family gathering our residence tomorrow at 2. It's just your parents and a few others. This has to cease. I gaze at the words for a whole minute, my gut constricting. In the week since I faced Jessica in my apartment, the family has split into competing factions. Mother continues to call regularly with sad appeals. Father has fallen into uncommon stillness. Cousins send messages of support or condemnation based on whatever version of events they believe. What impresses me is David's unexpected involvement. Throughout his 5-year marriage to my sister, he has stayed delightfully removed from family strife. When I arrive to their house, which is noticeably smaller than Mother had led everyone to expect, David answers the door before I even knock. His usual easygoing demeanor is replaced by something harsher, more determined. Thank you for coming, he adds, his voice low. This will not be simple. The living room resembles a courthouse awaiting trial. Mother and father sit stiffly in identical seats. Uncle Mark sits at one end of the sofa alongside Aunt Linda and grandmother, whose presence emphasizes the severity of the situation. Jessica is nowhere in sight. Where is Jessica? I begin. David interrupts, nodding toward the vacant chair that is clearly the main point. She will join us shortly. Please sit. Instead, I chose a corner of the sofa to keep my distance from the emotional blast zone. The air is fraught with unsaid accusations. Mother tries a faint grin. This is unneeded. Family conflicts should remain private. Not this one. David replies, firmly placing a hefty manila folder on the coffee table. Not anymore. The sound of a door closing resonates through the hall. Jessica walks in, her face free of makeup, wearing basic jeans and a beige pullover I've never seen before. No designer brands or statement jewelry. Her eyes are red-rimmed and dry. Sit down, Jessica, David says without looking at her. She sits on the edge of the vacant chair, hands firmly folded in her lap. David stands before us, shoulders square. I've asked you here because it's time for everyone to understand what's going on. He opens the folder. Jessica has accrued $14,000 in personal debt over the last few years. Mother gives a gasp. Father's head snapped up. That includes the $58,200 Emily has been paying in secret for 4 years. David continues. Jessica told me that the money came from her grandmother's trust fund. Grandmother's sudden intake of breath echoes around the room. I never set up such a thing. I know that now. David distributes the credit card statements on the table. These are regular purchases from Nordstrom, Saks, Neiman Marcus, designer clothing, jewelry, and handbags. Things to give the impression of accomplishment while we were silently drowning. Father leans forward, inspecting the documents with increasing incredulity. This does not sound like the daughter that we raised. Jessica murmurs, I needed those things. Everyone expected me to succeed. Mother reaches out to her. Is all this real, sweetheart? The question hangs in the air. It's the first time in 30 years that I've heard Mother doubt Jessica's version of events. Jessica's calm demeanor collapses. Tears run down her cheeks. I just wanted everyone to feel proud of me. By lying, by stealing from your sister. Aunt Linda's speech cuts like a sword. I was going to repay her. Jessica protests weakly. When David asks, with what money? You haven't had a regular employment in 3 years. The silence that follows seems like a tangible burden. I witness my family accept the fact that they had been denying for years. David straightens. Things will change beginning today. We're selling our Range Rover. The Maldives trip has been canceled. Jessica starts working 40 hours a week at Belinda's shop on Monday, and we begin financial counseling on Thursday. Mother's face pales, but that's too excessive. It's vital, David says, and very overdue. Father looks to me, his eyes clouded with something I've rarely seen. True remorse. We should have noticed it sooner. His voice has dropped to a near whisper. I apologize, Emily. The words I'd waited decades to hear arrived gently and without the gratification I expected. I nod at once, accepting but not absolved. For the first time in my life, I am in a family problem without being expected to solve it. I am neither savior nor villain, just present. The weird liberty of this moment sticks in my throat. The following 6 months will unfold in slow, deliberate steps. Family chatter changes when the complete tale emerges. Jessica works in retail after years of pleasure, arriving home with hurting feet and humiliated eyes. David manages their finances using spreadsheets that mirror my own scrupulous records. When Mother calls today, her voice has a new reluctance, as if she is learning to traverse foreign territory. Father inquires about my investing methods, listening with real curiosity. One Thursday morning in May, my phone vibrates with a banking message. Deposit $600. A text message follows. It will take years, but I will repay you. M. I gaze at the TV, recalling the Thanksgiving meal when she openly accused me of begging. The bathroom is when I finally discovered my boundaries. The spreadsheet tracks 4 years of quiet sacrifice. My fingers hover over the keyboard. A dozen replies arise and vanish in my imagination. In the end, I type only 2 words. Received. Thank you. Not forgiveness. Not yet. But possibly a door left slightly open in a wall that I had every right to construct. As I stand at the entrance of David and Jessica's scaled Tudor-style home, the weight of the pumpkin-scented candle helps to steady my hands. Through the leaded glass panels flanking the front entrance, I catch a glimpse of modest Thanksgiving decorations in stark contrast to the elaborate displays at our parents' home last year. For a moment, I consider turning around and driving back to my flat to spend the vacation alone with a good book. But then I see my father through the glass, and our gazes connect. 1 year has changed more than simply my living environment. My apartment now has a beautiful sectional couch in deep burgundy, which replaced the shabby hand-me-down I had suffered for years. My home office now has a decent desk instead of the rickety card table where I had been managing my and Jessica's finances for half a decade. The $950 monthly contribution that used to slip into my sister's bottomless desires now goes into an investing account with a 14% return. Dad opens the door before I can knock. There she is, he says, but his voice lacks the booming tone I recall from childhood. Instead, I've never heard the word respect before. Happy Thanksgiving. I go inside, inhaling the fragrance of roasted turkey. My basic knee-length dress in rich forest green feels suitable for this occasion. Oh, you are right on time, Mom says, kissing my cheek without the usual perfunctory tone. Jessica is just ready to serve. The dining room table, set simply with white plates and cotton napkins, now has only 8 place settings, down from 20 last year. No glittering chandelier hangs overhead, just a simple pendant light that illuminates faces I now recognize as family rather than audience. Jessica appears from the kitchen in pants and a cream-colored pullover. No expensive labels are apparent, and no flashy jewelry catches the light. Her hair tied back into a modest ponytail. She carries a tray of sliced turkey with steady hands. Everything looks beautiful, I remark, and I mean it. Jessica's smile holds something new. Humility. Thank you for attending. When everyone is seated, David proposes a toast. All eyes are on him, but he nods to Jessica, who gently stands. She lifts her water glass to a family that tells the truth, even if it hurts. My throat tightens abruptly. I raise my glass in acknowledgement, not yet ready for full reconciliation, but grateful for this honest new beginning. Throughout dinner, discussion flows naturally. Uncle Mark describes his latest heart operation without downplaying its significance. Lauren announces her promotion without downplaying its significance. Parents admit to struggling with retirement planning without pretending everything is wonderful. No one performs or competes. We just exist together in reality. Later back in my flat, I opened my laptop out of habit, but I no longer check the spreadsheet every day. Jessica has regularly delivered 12 payments all on schedule. I scanned through my phone, deleting previous desperate texts from her that I'd kept as proof. They are no longer essential to protect against gaslighting. The truth has surfaced and settled like dust after a rainstorm. Opening my journal, I write $58,200. If she were a stranger, I would have stopped long ago. But she was my sister. Or at least I assume she was. I paused to contemplate what has changed. Jessica's monthly payments are more than simply financial reparation. They acknowledge that my limits matter and that my sacrifice is worthy of appreciation. My worth was never based on family acceptance, even if it took me 28 years to realize this. Boundaries are not harsh. They are about self-respect. I close the journal without feeling either triumph or remorse. Just clarification. Sometimes compassion entails knowing when to quit. You can't save someone who keeps sinking, especially if they're pulling you down. The question hangs in the nighttime air of my quiet apartment. If you were in the same scenario, what would you do? Cut them off as I did. Give them one more opportunity since they are family. Take legal action to retrieve what you've lost.